Welcome everyone. This is Bishal here with Name of the Game Football live with our special guest today. So name of the game is online sports talk show podcast. We have just started from today, and we have wonderful guests here today joining us from Borussia Dortmund Australia and Wodonga Heart Football Club in Wodonga. So talking about the Borussia Dortmund Supporters Club, one of the best European football club in the world, and their fan base, amazing atmosphere they create every time when they are playing the home games. So we have the actual fans over here. We have been a member with them for a long period of time, and obviously our local team over here, 2022 Regional Club of the Year, Wodonga Hearts. So without taking a much long time, I'll just quickly like to introduce them to the stage. So we have our first guest here, Bruce. Hi, Bruce. How are you?
Good evening, Bishal. Good to be with you.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. How is in Sydney? How is the weather?
It's fresh, but we're enjoying some lovely weather here at the moment.
That's good. Thanks for joining us today, Bruce.
I'm
Now,
delighted.
talking about the second guest we have here, the vice president of the club, one of the very active person I have seen in my life. He till today he's in the football ground and he's coming live from there. So I'd like to quickly add him to the stage. Ryan, welcome to the show, mate. How are you?
Yeah, g'day, Bish. Doing quite well. I'm actually, down at one of the grounds moment, just having a look over two of our rep teams in the region, getting ready for an upcoming tournament. So, not a bad way to spend your night.
That's all right. Thanks for joining us today, Ryan. Now, another guest we have is from the Borussia Dortmund Australia. He has been a member for the club for a long period of time, and boys are doing this year the Champions League final is running across the Australia. So I'd like to quickly introduce him to the show as well. Michael, welcome to the show, mate.
Hey, Bishal, how are you?
Good, mate. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. How is the things in business in Brisbane?
Yeah, Brisbane's good. Not as cold as the rest of Australia, so can't complain.
That's good, Mike. Thanks for joining us today.
No worries.
Now, another wonderful guest we have today here is my coach, because I'm a player as well. So over 35 coach leader for us, and he is leading the Wodonga Hearts over 35 teams. I would quickly like to add him to the stage. Cake, welcome to the show, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Bishal. Thanks for inviting me along, mate. How are you?
Hey, how you been?
Good, thanks. How about yourself?
Busy day at work?
Always, mate. Yeah, lovely Wodonga. Lovely weather today. Cold start, but all good.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Now, I'll quickly like to move into the session, and I'd like to start with Bruce. Bruce, Borussia Dortmund Australia. Can you please tell us, our viewers and all over here, like, how did it start it and when did it start it?
Okay, I wasn't there at the start, but there was our founder was a guy named Dan Mowbray. He's still very active in running the club, and I think he used to do night shifts. And while he was on night shifts, he would watch Bundesliga. And like many of us during the era when Jurgen Klopp was the coach, we were captivated by not only Jurgen Klopp, but by the Yellow Wall and the German fan scene. And Dan decided to form a supporters club, just a Facebook group to begin with. And then he started mopping up various supporters around the country. And that's how people such as Michael and myself got drawn in. And about 2 years ago, we actually became the only officially recognized Borussia Dortmund fan club in Australia. So we've got official status with the club, and we have two sister club relationships in Germany. So it means when we go to Germany, we've got people that can help us get match tickets and people to go to the games with and so on.
Thanks for telling us that. Bruce, how many active members are here in Australia at the moment? Like, the club seems pretty big. When I went through the fan page, that. How many official members are there here in Australia?
Well, we've got our Facebook page has well north of 1,500 followers. So there's 1,500 or so fellow travellers, and our club membership is, in a formal sense, paid membership is around 20, but we only started that category at the beginning of the season. So we've just started to build. And what we have is a Patreon group. So you join through a Patreon subscription, and we've been running various competitions, and maybe Michael can tell you something about those because he's been instrumental in running one of the main ones. And in addition to that, we run Discord servers and so on. Given that Australia is really a continent as much as a country, we're spread far and wide. We've got members in Adelaide, Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, Narromine in New South Wales, etc. So we tend to concentrate on online meetups rather than face-to-face meetups because it's just too difficult.
Yeah. So it looks like that Borussia Dortmund has established their wings or branches all over in the major part of Australia, which is really good. There are barely, I would say, in Australia. I think Liverpool is pretty good with that fan base in all over Australia, but most of the clubs, they are really struggling over there. So that's really good for Borussia Dortmund. Thanks for telling us that. I'll get back to you shortly, Bruce. Now, I'd like to move over Ryan. Ryan, you have been in coaching as a coach, and you're playing as well this year, and you've been as a vice president of the club. Can you just tell us, our viewers, your journey? When did you start playing your level of soccer or coaching the kids, and what does it take for a normal human being like for me to reach in that level of the vice president and doing all these footballing activities for Wodonga Hearts?
So to be the vice president, you basically just got to put your hand up because no one else wants to do it. So that's always a good start. In all seriousness, though, I started coaching about 11 odd years ago now, and it started with my young fella, Charlie, in under fives. So where we are in Albury Wodonga, it wasn't a huge soccer community at the time, but it's really grown over the last year. So I basically started coaching because there was no one to coach, and actually just fell in love with it, and followed the journey. I got three boys and followed the journey of all three. And I'm actually now this year I've gone back to under six coaching because that's the age of my youngest. I think what I get out of it is player development. That's what I love to see. There can be a little bit egotistical, and there can be politics within soccer. I think we've all seen that, but just to see a young person develop, and not just their soccer skills, but personality, confidence, ability to show resilience. That's what kind of keeps me going. So yeah, we've done all right over the last few years.
Yeah, like surprisingly, as you said that when you started, there was not many people who used to play soccer. But now, when I see Saturday and Sunday, Wodonga Hearts is packed up with players and kids, like especially the mini rules, juniors, seniors. How is that possible for a club like in a small town when you have three clubs sitting next to each other, which are not very far, not even a 1 kilometer, and how is it possible for the executive members to get all the things like sorted out?
Yeah, I think what happened in Albury Wodonga with it soccer is basically it's a very competitive town for a whole range of sports. But what it was kind of missing was a sport for young people to be involved in, regardless of talent or ability. Just basically going out there and having a go. And that's really, I think, how the junior numbers started. And from there, the clubs have continued to grow and show a lot of success. And now we're probably one of the regional powerhouses. So, for example, we're in the Albury Wodonga Football Association. And last year, most of our teams from 12s to 18s. Ended up taking out both the New South Wales and Victorian state champion or regional state championship. So again, we've been able to showcase what we can do, and we were very lucky because we actually had some Australian talent come from these areas. So we had like Josh Kennedy was one, Archie Thompson was another, and those guys came back to play in a different association here. But it really it showed young people that if you put your mind to something, there was another avenue outside of like AFL or cricket or basketball. And yeah, it's just grown. Numbers have nearly tripled in the last probably 8 years. So yeah, we're doing well.
Yep. All right. Thanks for that, Ryan. I'll get back to you shortly again. So for now, I'd like to go to Michael. Michael, as Bruce already told us that how the Borussia Dortmund started. Now, the Facebook page, you guys have been sharing all the screening that's happening for this Sunday, one of the massive game for Dortmund, and even I'm a Real Madrid supporter, so that's a very good game for us because we are going for 15. You guys are going for the second one, and since 1997, that has been waiting for Borussia Dortmund, and it has, like the club has done it before in 2013, Wembley Stadium against your arch rival Bayern Munich. So, how is the Australian fans looking this Sunday morning, and can you just tell us about that?
Well, I think we've shared on our Facebook page all the different locations around Australia where we'll actually be showing the Champions League final game, and we've actually had a lot of people inquiring, whether that be within the comment section or the messaging, on how they can get together, whether they're diehard supporters or they follow Borussia Dortmund quietly in the background. I think they're all taking advantage of the opportunity this year to actually jump on board and be able to watch the games together. I wish I could be there with you, Bruce, in Sydney, but unfortunately, I'll be watching from the lounge room with my father. I've got a family holiday in Adelaide this weekend. So I think we watched the last Champions League final together in 1997. I was probably 12 years old, 11 years old. Yeah, so my father's 85 now, so let's hope we can round it off with another win, and I'll well and truly be wearing my shirt around Adelaide nice and proud, and I bet you I won't be the only one.
What are the numbers you are looking for? Like how many people will be there? Say, as you said, like I think it will be quite big in Sydney and Melbourne because they are the biggest one of the cities over here.
Yeah, well, we had the final day. It's a day we don't really like to talk too much about, do we, Bruce?
No.
Final day of the Bundesliga last year. It's where I actually met Bruce for the first time face to face at the Cheers bar there. We had a get together. Borussia Dortmund fans upstairs and the Bayern Munich fans downstairs watching the game, and unfortunately we didn't make it on that day. But I think Dortmund fans alone upstairs, we would have had maybe 30 or 40 people. And
Yeah.
I reckon you'll actually surpass that this time. Last time it was a good time. It was a 10:30 or 11:30 p.m. game. But this time it's 5 a.m. But I still think you'll get quite a few people at that event. So I couldn't predict the numbers, but I mean, I'd love to see 50 people there. So you'll have to take a photo and share it to the page.
Yeah. And we'll also be live on Discord. So as well for people who can't get to venues. Yeah.
Good point. Right. Yeah, we always like a bit of banter on the Discord chat there, and sometimes you never feel alone when you're watching a game when you've got Discord there in front of you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for sharing that, Michael. I'll get back to you shortly again. Now, Keg, I'd like to go with Keg. So Wodonga Heart this year, I think it's the first year we have over 35 teams, and you have led that team all the way from starting, bringing all the players. Like, can you just tell us that how hard it was for you to start up with the things, and especially before that, how long you have been involved in like the soccer activities, playing or coaching or doing that things?
So in terms of playing, I started off as a junior at Albury United. for 5 years, from 86 till I think 93 in Albury City. So sort of worked my way, and I played till I was 23, and obviously got married, gave up, and came back at 37 to play over 35s. In terms of Wodonga Heart, I coached 3 stints over the last 10 years. So I played at Medalford last year, and I was involved in talking to some of the executive committee last year to come back to Wodonga Heart. So we had some guys who were interested in summer last year, so we developed a summer soccer team, summer sevens. That sort of led into numbers evolving into over 35s this year. So currently we have 20 on the books. In saying that, we've got 7 guys who've never played before, all fantastic. They're actually involved because their their sons or daughters play for the club. Sort of a development thing, but we're not playing for sheep stations in 35s. The club's got fantastic numbers across the board this year in terms of record numbers, participants from juniors right up to resis. Going gangbusters, and we've got some fantastic coaches and a great committee behind us. So things are looking good for the future.
Thanks for that. And over 35 competitions, usually people, they play for fun, but this year, when we see that all the 12 clubs, they have the over 35 teams, and there is a bit solid competition between each other. Mate,
it's fantastic. This is the first time 35s have ever had an even competition in terms of a full acquisition of teams. Cobram obviously is involved the last couple of years. Myrtleford's been in it for 2 or 3 years now. Melrose were out for a couple of years. Now they're back, and they're second top. They actually beat Twin City on the weekend, 5-3. So it's fantastic. It's when nature sort of thing. So, but overall, it's a really strong competition. As Ryan mentioned before, Author has sort of evolved over the years, and for a regional sort of hub and community, it's a fantastic competition from seniors right down to the grassroots levels of juniors.
Thanks for that, Cake. Now I'd like to move to Bruce. Bruce, you have been watching Borussia Dortmund for a long, long period of time.
Yeah.
Now, how did Dortmund win this year? Especially in the Bundesliga, we had a very surprising package who won the league, and that was Bayern Leverkusen with Jack.
I think we've lost Bish, have we?
Yeah, I thought it was me actually at first, but so it's pretty
I'm sure it'll be back.
Well,
yeah. As you can see, guys, I've just arrived at the stadium.
yeah, we got 4 hosts. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, well, I suppose for the viewers, we should
Continue with
going
something.
in some way.
Keep talking.
There
you go.
My
He's back.
internet dropped down. Sorry about that. My apologies. Yeah, so I was asking about the Dortmund finishing 6th in the ladder and Bayern Leverkusen winning the league. So how did you find it?
Oh, look, I think the start of the season, the team had a big emotional hangover from dropping the chance to win the championship on the final day of the last season. Then there were some injuries to key players, not least to Sebastian Haller, who's still recovering from his illness. And Bayern, it wasn't just Leverkusen, but Bayern played a very strong first half of the season as well. So by the time Dortmund got its act together, those two guys were out of sight. But it was really interesting. In December, I think it was, Raphael Honigstein, a German football journalist, he predicted Dortmund's Champions League run. He said Dortmund very up and down in the league, but he said it's got a makings of a very good cup team because it seems to be a team that knows how to lift for a particular game. And of course, we're in the group of death with Milan, PSG, and Newcastle United from the UK. And I think even the strongest Dortmund supporters thought we would have difficulty getting out of that group, let alone winning it. And the team, to its credit, did. They were out of the group with a game to spare. And in 4 matches against PSG, they've won 2 of them, lost 1 away, and drawn the other. So they've done very well with about a fifth of the budget the PSG have.
Yeah, the group still was pretty tough because I think Dortmund played with PSG, Atletico Madrid, and it wasn't like a group of death for them, but they come to make it a final, and that's in Wembley. And as I already said, this is the second time Dortmund is going to Wembley Stadium, which is one of the pride of London. So how are you looking for that? How much you are excited, and what do you think the result will be? And you're playing, I guess, one of the powerhouse of football, and that's Real Madrid, who is going for 15th. So how did you find it?
Look, let's not let's talk the truth, not mince words. Real Madrid are heavy favourites. They've got a very good team. We saw the way they dispatched of Bayern. It's a team that knows not only how to play good football, but knows how to win football matches. Ancelotti has won the Champions League at least twice, I think. He also is, he's won with Milan and possibly with Real Madrid. So the Dortmund coach is, it's his first Champions League final. It's his first a real run in the Champions League this far.
In 3 seasons, he's done well, hasn't he, Bruce?
He's done extremely well. Very modest guy. In fact, for the last Champions League final against Bayern at Wembley, he was in the crowd as a supporter. So, and it just shows you guys from Wodonga. That's how Dortmund started back in 1909. A group of enthusiasts got together, built a club in that case, a small city, and it's become a global juggernaut. So you never know, in 100 years' time, Wodonga might be playing Kashmir Antlers in the Asian Champions League final.
We might finally.
I want to
get
pass
paid on
this
the
question this statement from Bruce to you. As just now, Bruce said that in 100 years, I won't say in 100 years, in 10 years, Wodonga Hearts, how it will be?
Was that to me, Bish?
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed the question, mate. Can you say it again?
So as Bruce just said, that's how Dortmund started, from a small town with the enthusiastic people, players, and made the biggest club in the world right now, and it's a very European powerhouse. And in the next 10 years, where will the Wodonga Hearts be?
Well, I hope that we just have a competitive teams across all grades. Really hope that our female program's as strong as our male program. I think that'll be fantastic to see, and that they get the support to really develop their football. It has been a big push the last few years, and rightly so. So personally, that's what I'd like to see, just a competitive nature and competition for spots. I think that's the other thing. We've been a rebuilding club for a fair period of time now, but we're now in a space where we can actually start being a little bit more selective of who gets games and what it will look like going forward for the club. I think we're actually in a really positive position, but it's taken a hell of a lot of work to get there, and sometimes the bigger the clubs, the bigger the problems get as well. So it's a bit of a trade-off to ensure that you've got the infrastructure there with the right people, because obviously everyone's worked so hard to get where we are, and we can become a little bit precious of that. So we just got to keep working at it, and hopefully things go how they should.
And when talking about Wodonga Hearts, I would say Wodonga Hearts have one of the massive mini rules conducting this year and last year as well. What are the numbers we have in figures, right? The mini rules players, coaches.
Yeah, so we actually looked at the other day because we were wondering why we couldn't get a bloody car park, and it's actually because the numbers were getting quite high. So 4 years ago we had like 53 or 54, I think, and this year we're up to just under 160. So it's definitely grown over the years. Well, my classical music definitely grown over the years. Difficulty where we are is that there's not a whole lot of pathways coming from regional soccer. You really do have to move to the city. So we do lose a lot of our juniors to the NPL clubs, and hopefully we'll get them back at one stage, or they'll remember us and give us a shout out. But that is one challenge that we do face. We've got one of the most successful junior programs, and we've had a lot of representation in that space from a regional and a state level. But great for them. A little bit unfortunate for the club, but you want to see your juniors go as far as they can. If that means they have to move to the city, then we wish them all the best.
Talking about the juniors, Ryan, this year Wodonga Hearts 14 and 16, they have been absolutely great team this year because they haven't lost a single game. And same with under 12 boys, 13s, they are coming up on that page. So, and last year Wodonga Hearts juniors were pretty solid. So it will be good to say that Wodonga Hearts are producing a really good level of junior players for say NPL teams or.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're a victim of your own success to some degree, but we have done really well, and we put some things in place about 5 or 6 years ago we started with our under 10s. We put them straight into under 12s, and they got pumped. They basically I think the goal difference was around just a fraction over 200. And I remember the last game of the season, we scored one goal and got a draw and celebrated it like we'd won the some magical cup. The same team 2 years later made the grand final, and the last 4 years moving forward, we look at this year, they're undefeated. So then we kind of replicated that through our juniors, where we would recognise the talent as early as we could, and then would look for opportunities to stretch them in a higher age group, give them more challenge, but then still get them to play in their own age for the enjoyment of the game. So it seemed to have worked. Seems a lot of clubs have followed that that style now, and it seems to be working across. And I think that's why there's such, like I was saying earlier on, such a high standard of junior football. And realistically, for our population and the competition for different junior sports, we probably go up and beyond what we should for what we have. But it's a credit to having good coaches. I think that's the key. Good coaches, enjoyment. Got to have fun, and you got to realise it for what it is. So that's kind of what we work off.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for that, Michael. Now I would like to jump on you. And so Borussia Dortmund Australia. So as a club is established, you guys are doing the screening this week, and what are the major activities you will be doing in the near future? Just like watching the game together, screening, or like some of the European club in Australia, they have jump as an academy. Like as I am a La Liga supporter and I follow La Liga teams, so in Melbourne, Villarreal Football Club, they have started their academy. They are running a football as well. So have you guys have been into that plan, or whatever the activities you will be doing in near future?
You're muted,
So
Michael. Yeah.
Sorry. Just recently, we were invited to attend they had a bit of a clinic day at a club called the Wynnum Wolves, not too far from where I live here in Queensland, in Brisbane. And we were lucky enough I was lucky enough to meet Paul Lambert, the 1997 Champions League winner, who was actually there to introduce Borussia Dortmund to the club and also spot some talent to try and take them back to Germany and give them a trial. So that was really, really nice to go and attend, and I have a nice photo there with him and my son, all of us in the Borussia Dortmund jerseys. So that was quite nice. And looking at the club there at the Wynnum Wolves, I wouldn't call them a sister club, but it does have a sort of a feeder. It is a feeder club to Borussia Dortmund, so I'll be trying to get my son in there at some point for sure. Definitely. They start at 3 years old, so I made friends with the president there. So that's something they're doing here in Brisbane. I do know they have a couple of other feeder clubs in different states around Australia. I think Sydney's one of them. I'm not sure which club it is. Bruce, you might know.
Yeah, no, there was something set up in, I think, mid 2019 with Marconi.
Was it Marconi? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And the former Dortmund player and World Cup winner Jörg Heinrich came to Australia, and several of us met him. And but then COVID came along, and it just stymied any progress they were going to make there. And I, to be honest, I'm not across whether that arrangement still exists or not.
Mm-hmm.
But Dortmund are looking to make feeders into Asia and into Australia, or make feelers into these markets. Their biggest focus hitherto has been the US. There's a large German diaspora in the US and a much larger population. So that's always been more fertile turf for the Bundesliga.
I think we're seeing more, Dortmund having Reina and also Pulisic, which have come up from very young ages through the Dortmund Academy. They're probably not going to be the last ones to feed in from the US. So hopefully we'll see an Aussie up there one day. We got close with Mustafa Amini. And
we got even closer.
With Mitch Langerak, yeah.
Yes, Mitch Langerak actually played the German Cup final in 2012.
Yeah, that's right.
And they beat Bayern 5-2.
Yep. I've got to say it has a fond memory.
Yes.
All right, thanks for that, Michael and Bruce. Now I'd like to jump into cake. So we are in the half of the season now. I think we have already played 12 games. And last week we played Albury Horse, and they're a pretty good team, and we had a pretty decent result coming on that game. Next week we are playing Albury City. So how is the team looking from last week moving to the this Sunday?
So in terms of numbers, we've had 5 on the bench in terms of 16 on the I it's every week. We're against the odds. We're playing. Score lines. Guys, smile on our face. If we play some good football, that's a bonus. We're sticking to a game plan. Guys, In terms of players who've never played before, I try and give everybody equitable time on the field, regardless of ability. So, I think we're looking pretty good. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Cake. So I think your internet is breaking down as well, mine as is mine. So anyway, thank you so much for that. So I'd like to now jump into the another topic. So which I have just created a couple of slides, and I'd like to present it to you guys over here. So, so especially this is for Bruce and Michael. So I am really curious, and it might be interesting for Ryan and Kagan over here as well. So this is the tifo that Borussia Dortmund they created in 2013 when I think they were playing against Malaga in a Champions League, and this was a home game. So I have a video. I'd like to quickly share that video, and so that. Right, I'd like to ask Bruce, maybe Bruce or Michael, I think you guys, what is this character? What is the character coming over there with the binoculars? What is this trying to say?
Michael, can you translate the German?
I think, Michael, you are mute.
Yeah. So the translation's a difficult one. It's on the trail of the lost. I don't know, the lost spyglasses or something like that. And it's obviously meant to be intimidating to the opposing team.
Okay, so this character is that the character trying to find something? Or?
Yeah, it's just meant to be imposing, tifo to welcome the other team. I mean, the yellow wall, there's 26,500 people standing behind that goal. And for the big games, they usually put on something quite special. And so this was welcoming Malaga to the Westfalenstadion, I think for a quarterfinal, was it that season? Because I think they knocked out Real Madrid in the semi-final before meeting Bayern in the final. So, and in fact, they were very lucky to get out of that game. Malaga led 2-1 going into the injury time, and Dortmund scored 2 goals, I think, to turn it around and win the tie.
Yep. All good. Thanks for that, Bruce. So I think, Michael, you are still mute. You have to unmute.
Yeah, I keep muting it. Sorry.
Michael, can you add anything to that translation?
I mean, the only thing I know about it is the Henkelpots are the region, is a nickname for the region where Dortmund comes from. It's like the other name is the Ruhrgebiet. It's like the industrial area of Germany. So I think a direct translation might be a bit hard, but people sort of like, it's almost like people forgot about Borussia Dortmund. But don't worry, we were always watching. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at Wembley this year, because I don't know if you saw the requests for tickets to the Champions League game, Bruce, but there was some 400,000 requests for tickets from Dortmund and only about 20,000 from Real Madrid. So
45
I'm
each, I think it's
hoping,
45 each.
I'm hoping the stadium's going to be black and yellow, and that and that it's going to be just like a home game, because we're going to need that 12th player to battle the 12th player that Madrid quite often have on the field as well.
Guys, I want to ask you what the atmosphere will be in Dortmund that Saturday night when they are playing a Champions League final in Wembley. What will be their city be like?
It'll be bigger than Germany making the World Cup, I tell you, in Dortmund at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have loved to have been over there, not just for the game, but for the celebrations. I mean, you've done the walk before the game. Even Dortmund on a home game, on a normal home game, the city is full of love and excitement and happiness and just, I'm in complete awe of that city when a home game is on. So I can only imagine what it'd be like during a Champions League game. The thought brings tears to your eyes.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Thanks
that
for
was
that. I'd like to move into another picture I have over here. So definitely one of our biggest tire league in Australia. So Ryan, I'd like to ask about the A League and Keg as well. I think Keg is here as well. So how was this season, the A League, and pretty much the new faces that had come to A League, or any of the new players we'll be seeing in World Cup squad from the A League team? Ryan or Keg?
You want to go, Keegs?
Yeah, that's all right, mate. Oh, just on that note, congratulations to Central Coast Mariners for winning the A-League treble, first time ever for an A-League team, and grand final, obviously, against Melbourne Victory. What I like about Central Coast is they operate on a shoestring budget. One of their back players, I can't remember his name, their left back, I think he is, was actually a local player. They gave him time off the bench last year. Now he's played full-time because a New Zealand player retired. But in A-League, it's gone from strength to strength, and that's going back to grassroots football, NPL teams being feeder teams for these A-League teams. Obviously, they don't get the recognition like teams overseas, associations, leagues. But I think it's getting there. We can't afford the marquee players and so forth, but it's putting Australia on the map in terms of football.
Ryan, A League is a different league, so there is no relegation, just a 12. I think 12 to maximum. How many teams are there? 14? Keg? 12 or 14?
You're not 100% sure, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
12 or 14. Sounds about right.
So they just play every year, every season, the same games. So what do you think, the opportunity that the teams coming from NPL, once they get promoted to Division 2 and Division 1? So I don't think there is anything above that NPL Division 1, because either the players have to the A League team. Yeah, how do you find it?
Sorry, you're talking to me. You're right, Ryan. You go, mate.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I think looking at relegation and promotion in the current format that Australian football is, I think would be a really difficult thing to do. I'd actually love it, because it actually brings some more excitement, even to those that are, in the lower leagues, or those guys in the A League who are struggling to hold their spot. There's just brings more stories to the game, and I think that's another aspect that we all like to watch, like watching the underdogs, come through and just tough it out. But I just think we have to get it right of currently what we are doing. There's been so much change over the years, and I know that we're a very, very regional club, and so far away from even being an NPL club that it's comical even discussing. But I just think where would these clubs that would be promoted, where would they get the money from? Where would they get the funding and the facilities to be able to provide a feasible product to remain in there? I think it would be really difficult without a high amount of investment from Football Australia and I don't know if it's there yet. That's probably my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
Correct me if
you're
I'm
right.
wrong. Sorry to interrupt, Ryan and everyone. I think they're trying to introduce a second tier in terms of South Melbourne, in terms of a relegation system to be promoted and demoted from the A-League. They have put a few clubs up that used to play the old NSL South Melbourne. I think the likes of Leichhardt, sort of clubs.
Yeah.
Anybody?
The,
I mean,
the difficulty
Adelaide's
got also is if you were to, for example, say Perth finished bottom of the league, which they will from time to time, you can't relegate Perth out of the league and leave no Western Australian team in the league. So because you just abandon a market. So they're probably going to go to some system that operates like in the lower leagues in Germany, where basically there are spots per region, and so if Perth get relegated, they get replaced by another Perth team. But then it comes back to the money, and the money's just not. It's not even there for the A League at the moment.
well,
No, look to Master United that in the A-League. Yeah, so that's a bit of an extension program.
But it's a shame. It's because what promotion and relegation gives you is an absence of meaningless games towards the end of a season. So when the A-League gets about 2/3 of the way in, a lot of the games mean nothing. They're teams that can't make the finals, can't get relegated, etc. And I think fans tend to lose a bit of interest.
all right,
Yeah,
guys.
100%
Now,
agree.
the next picture we have is the Football Australia, the two teams, Matildas and Socceroos. So Australia and New Zealand hosted the World Cup as well, female World Cup, and pretty much Matildas, they did really good. And comparing the players from Matildas and Socceroos, I think the female squad have been into more high-level professional clubs like Sam Kerr playing for Chelsea, Hailey Russell playing for Real Madrid. So they have been in good level of football rather than what the males are playing, because to be honest, we can just say maybe 3 or 4 players are just playing in a good European league. So I think Harry Sauter, he was playing for Leicester City, and so, but I'm not sure the game time he has been playing over there. So Ryan, I would like to ask you, what do you think about the Football Australia, the pyramid, and the infrastructures they need to develop for more players getting a chance into European football?
Yeah, look, I think it's a relatively tough question. I think that this has been a question asked in football circles for many years, and I don't think it's going to be solved anytime soon. I think our isolation from the rest of the world makes it very difficult for a lot of our young talent to be seen. And realistically, even at a club level, it's very difficult to explain pathways for young people that are trying to make it. Like I said, just you'd think in being in Australia, it's a lucky country and all the opportunities it provides. But, we've got kids here that have to drive 3.5 hours just for a training session, so they potentially might get a look in or an offer to a contract in like your Melbourne Victories or something by the age of 13. I really don't know what the answer is. It seems in Australia, if you've got the money, then opportunity comes from that, and you see that they have a lot of at the moment. It's all throughout Australia now. They have clubs like Real Madrid or Manchester United. They come over and they say, oh, look, we're going to provide opportunities for Australia's best talent to go over and do tours around Europe. But to have the privilege of doing that, you need to pay for trials. And then there's one trial, then it's a second trial, then a third trial. And then you have to pay, I've got one of my young fellas mates just came back from an England tour earlier in the year, and it was $15,000. realistically, for my interpretation, is if you're that good, they're paying you to go there, not asking you to fork out $15,000 and then your parent as well, to go look at a few grounds and play some other matches against other countries that have done the same thing. So, yeah, sorry, I've probably gone on a little bit of a rant, but I don't know what the answer is, except for it needs to be, the opportunities need to be balanced out to all those people, and they need to start looking outside their own areas and looking at where is the talent and how do we support the talent, especially with the refugee families that we come over here, and we've got a lot within our club that are fantastic players, but they're single mums that speak, or they might have speak or learning to speak English as a second language. And their kids miss out because maybe they don't understand how to reply to an email, whatever it is. So yeah, I think there is a lot of talent that's wasted, and unfortunately, I think Australia's a pay to play situation, which isn't great.
Bruce, Cake, do you guys have anything to say on this?
No, I think Ryan summed it up pretty well. It's look, and we've also got to appreciate that there are a lot of good Australian A-League players go and try and break in England or Holland or France or Germany, and it's tough. There are a lot of kids native to those countries who are trying to get those spots in the clubs, and that pyramid's very, very steep. I mean, Harry Suter is a very good footballer by Australian standards, and he struggles to keep his place in Leicester City, which is in the second, well, until next year at least, the second league in England. We've got two players coming up to the Bundesliga with St. Pauli for next season. That's Jackson Irvine and Connor Metcalf, both Melbourne boys, I think. So there'll be a couple more Australians playing at a high level. We've had it in the past. We had a golden generation of men back in that sort of 2006 era. A lot of them were playing in top leagues around Europe, and it showed in the performances of the Socceroos at the time.
All right, Michael, I'd like to go with you. Marco Hughes, one of the legend loyal warriors for the Dortmund, is retiring and leaving Dortmund. So what do you have to say on that as a fan? How do you take him as a player?
Well, I named my son after him, so I didn't tell my wife that was the reason. She asked me where I got the name from, and then I showed her where I got it from, and she quite liked the name, so that was good. So let's hope he can celebrate his first Champions League final with a Marco Reus win.
Did you name him with the first name or last name?
First name, Marco. Yeah, Marco. Yeah. So yeah, fingers crossed we can get across the line. And I keep telling everybody, football is about stories, and I think this year is Marco Reus's and Borussia Dortmund's story, because probably, apart from Michael Ballack, he's probably the most unrewarded or the best player Germany has ever produced, one of the best that they've produced, to have not won a major trophy. So what better way to send him out than with a win when no one thought he would even get there after falling short last year. So I think it's Dortmund's story to tell, and let's hope that it finishes with a fairy tale ending.
And the key word there's loyal. He could have won a trophy. All he had to do was pick up the phone, and Bayern Munich would have signed him anytime.
What do you guys will say that, like, the career he has played for Dortmund, like 30% of that was affected by his injury? Like, even he was in the World Cup and he had to miss the World Cup because of the injury. So 30 to 40% of his career was in that injury.
He would have been undoubtedly, if he didn't have the injuries he did, I wouldn't hesitate to say that people would have seen him as one of the best in the world, and he would have had his name up in the Ballon d'Or, hopefully at some point along there. But missing out on all of those matches, he still managed to be the Dortmund's top scoring Bundesliga player ever, with 160 odd goals or something like that, or whatever it is. So to accomplish what he did with that many injuries is just phenomenal.
All right, thanks for that, Michael. Now we are on the last part. I got one more picture. Everybody knows their names, so even the kids will tell their names. So I would like to ask what my question is. After 2022 World Cup, the world saw a very big transfer that happened. Cristiano Ronaldo went to Saudi Arabia, and Messi, after he left PSG, he went to America, to Inter Miami. So these two biggest names in the footballing world, they have chosen the two different destinations, that was in Europe or some other popular countries. So, Keg, I would like to ask you, what do you think, or what if that's possible for Australia in another 10 to 15 years, bringing the players like this for the Australian League?
Well, I think it'd be realistic in terms of we don't have in Australia, the Saudi Arabians, leagues. Look, at the end of the day, it'd be fantastic for grassroots football in Australia, so the likes of a Messi or another future stay clubs in there. But the realistic side of it, I don't think it will happen in the short term. Hence why the big leagues are overseas, the money. You're going to have to look at some of the Melbourne by the APL clubs. It's phenomenal if it happens, but realistically, I don't think in the short term, no.
All right, Ryan, do you have anything to say on these two great players?
Oh, look, we'll take him at Wodonga Heart if they put their hands up. I wouldn't say no to that. Look, realistically, I'd prefer the money to go into local talent and show what they can. It would be great if they came over and did a little promotion for Football Australia. I think that would be a money well spent rather than hindering a club. They'll probably make the money back in jersey sales, but again, I think let's play for us and let's display what we've got. We already know what they've got overseas. So that's kind of my take on it.
Michael and Bruce, will we be able to see a player like this in the near future?
What, in Australia? Like this? Well, we have. I mean, Del Piero spent 2 seasons playing for Sydney, and he was a.
We had Mario at Adelaide United.
Yes, we did, and we've had some very good players from Europe in our league for many years. We've had Thomas Broik at Brisbane Roar.
He's just been promoted to Dortmund youth development coach.
Yeah, he works now for Borussia Dortmund. Yep, and Milos Nikovic, again, he played in a World Cup against Australia and South Africa for Serbia, and he's played for 2 clubs over a period of about 7 or 8 years in Australia. Some good players do come, but they're going to want to come here for the lifestyle and not the dollars. And really, you should be able to get a Messi or a Ronaldo because they shouldn't need the money.
But I think Ryan hit it on the head. Like we've after what we saw in the last World Cup, in the men's World Cup, is that the whole team was filled out with A-League stars that took it to the round of 16 to Argentina to the 90th minute. Kuol almost scored a goal at that last second to bring it to extra time. So I think we've got to respect our own league a lot more. It's not as flashy and money fueled, but on any given Sunday we can probably mix it with the best.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much for that. So now we are at the end of the session. It's already 1 hour. Time has gone very quick. So I'd like to quickly wrap up this session. Bruce, how did you find today's talk show?
I enjoyed it very much, and I'd like to congratulate you on creating this
Any
show.
suggestion,
Bishal.
recommendation,
Great achievement.
because this is my first show as well. So anything I have to improve in the next shows, then I'll appreciate that.
No,
Ryan,
we'll definitely keep up with it.
It's quite enjoyable. I think it'd be great future ones if we can get a few of the juniors across the country on here. Juniors seem to miss out and they don't get the chat. They get the old men that have been around a long time. So they've probably got some great ideas as well how to promote it. Because that's what they do best. That's social media. So, but yeah, great experience, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Cake, how did you find it?
Thanks, Bish. Done a fantastic. Look forward to going forward. Good Ryan J's on board and some clubs across the association. And yeah, well, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Good luck.
How did you find yourself? Any recommendation?
No, I think you did well. I think the topics were enjoyable, and it was nice to really have an open forum and chat amongst in Australia.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you so much, guys, everyone. So we are now on the end of the session, and I'd like to thank you so much, everyone, for watching us today. So we have a really wonderful guest here today, joining us from Borussia Dortmund Australia and Wodonga Heart Football Club. So I'll be back next week again with another new content and new show with the new people, with the new guest speakers. So probably I'll try to get some juniors over here because they will love this show. And thank you so much for watching again. Thank you. Have a good night.